Just imagine this, right? We need 44 million more teachers globally in less than a decade.
44 million.
Yeah, 44 million. It's not some far-off guess. It's the reality we're facing.
That number, honestly, it just stopped me when I first read it.
It's huge.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are really digging into this report, The Teacher Crisis, Closing the 44 Million Educator Gap.
Yeah, it's a really vital report. And our goal today, well, it's to get beyond just the big numbers. We want to unpack the connections, the systemic stuff, and also some of the really smart solutions popping up around the world.
Right.
We want you to leave this deep dive, well, not just knowing the facts, but really having some insight into what's probably one of the biggest challenges in education right now.
Okay, so let's start with that headline number from the UNESCO 2024-25 Global Teacher Report. 44 million more primary and secondary teachers needed by 2030.
By 2030, it's close.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not just a number, is it? It feels like a real threat to, well, universal education itself. I mean, whole generations might miss out on basic guidance. That could fundamentally change societies down the line. It feels less like a statistic and more like a time bomb.
It really does. And it's ticking faster because more teachers are leaving.
Yeah.
That's the other side of it. The attrition rate for primary teachers, it almost doubled. Went from about 4.6% in 2015 to, get this, 9% in 2022.
9%. Wow.
Yeah. And in the U.S. specifically, turnover jumped after the pandemic. It was 5.7%, went up to 10% in 21-22, and now it's settled a bit, maybe 7%, but still higher than before.
Still quite high.
And here's the really crucial part, I think. Only about 16% of those leaving in the U.S. are actually retiring.
Only 16%.
Right? The vast majority, they're mid-career teachers. They're choosing to leave. That tells you something fundamental is wrong with the job itself, It's not just about finding new grads. It's about keeping the experienced people we have.
That's a really important distinction, and this isn't just happening in one place, is it? The report shows huge differences globally.
Oh, absolutely. Sub-Saharan Africa is, well, it's the epicenter. They need about 15 million of that 44 million total.
15 million. Just staggering.
Then you had Southern Asia needing around 7.8 million. India alone needs almost 1 million elementary teachers.
1 million in just one country.
But then, maybe less intuitively, Europe and North America need almost 4.8 million. It's less about sheer numbers there, maybe more about specific skills, like math or science, and also aging workforces.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like in Germany and Italy, over 40% of teachers are over 50 years old. So they're facing a different kind of wave,
Right. So the problem looks different depending on where you are, even if the overall need is massive everywhere.
Exactly. And behind these numbers, there are real people, real classrooms, like Mrs. Chikandi Banda in Malawi. Picture this. She's teaching 112 first graders.
112.
Yeah. With hardly any benches, sharing a chalkboard, she has to split the class, rotate them. I mean, how can you give individual attention?
You just can't.
And that struggle, it's not just her daily challenge. It directly impacts those kids' futures, potentially keeping them stuck in poverty cycles because they didn't get that foundational support.
Or think about Mrs. Raquel Williams in Oklahoma City, teaching algebra over nearly 40 kids in the class because other teachers left mid-year, probably for better pay.
Right.
And she's spending her own money on supplies, grading for hours after school. Or that example from rural Pennsylvania, one science teacher bouncing between 4 different schools each week.
4 schools, wow.
Yeah. Kids literally go weeks without seeing their science teacher face to face. These aren't just anecdotes. They're the human reality of the shortage.
That's so true. And in Japan, you hear about teachers like Mr. Hiroshi Yamamoto working like 56 hours a week. And he's not just teaching English. He's the club advisor, counselor, admin, everything. That kind of overload leads straight to burnout, serious mental health issues. They even have a term for it, karoshi, death by overwork, and sadly, it touches education too.
That's terrifying.
Or karu in the Andes. Teachers often on temporary contracts, trekking hours to remote villages, only to leave after a year because they're so isolated, so unsupported.
So hearing all this, the scale, the personal stories, it really makes you stop and think, what does this actually mean for your community, for your kids, for society's future if we don't get a handle on this? It's pretty grim.
It is.
And if those are the numbers, the what, then the next big question is why? Why are these dedicated people leaving? What's pushing them out, often right in the middle of their careers?
Well, it's definitely a mix of things, a whole bundle of issues. But if you had to pick one that just keeps coming up again and again, it's pay, compensation.
Right. Always comes back to money, doesn't it?
Often, yeah. And it's not just that the pay is low, it's this feeling of being systematically undervalued. I mean, when U.S. teachers earn only 69 cents for every dollar other college grads make.
69 cents. Wow.
Yeah, it sends a pretty clear message, doesn't it? We're asking for huge dedication, but the pay doesn't match.
Yeah.
Starting salaries, around $46,500 average,
Yeah.
maybe $72,000. But here's the kicker. Adjusted for inflation, those numbers are actually lower than they were 10 years ago.
So they're losing ground. That really speaks volumes about how the profession is viewed or devalued.
Exactly. Deprofessionalization, that's a good way to put it. And what's interesting looking at the pay gap is the difference collective bargaining makes.
Ah, yeah. How so?
Well, teachers in states where they can bargain collectively, negotiate their contracts together, they earn about 27% more.
27%. That's significant.
It is. Their average is around $81,200 compared to about $60,300 where they don't have those bargaining rights. It shows that when teachers have a unified voice, it can make a real difference to their pay and stability.
That's a clear link. But you said it's not just about money.
Definitely not. The workload and the burnout that comes with it, it's
Oh.
massive. Teachers work, on average, 49 hours a week.
49.
Yeah, that's 9 hours more than other professionals, according to a RAND study. And that's not just teaching time. It's lesson planning, grading papers, calling parents, endless meetings, after-school clubs.
All the invisible work.
Exactly. Plus all the administrative stuff, the paperwork, the pressure from high-stakes testing. It just piles up.
So they're basically expected to be educators, social workers, administrators, event planners, all rolled into one, often without enough support. I mean, no wonder that 2025 survey found 62% feel stressed often and 53% report burnout.
Precisely. It feels like a constant demand to do more with less, with almost no breathing room.
Yeah.
And that connects to another big issue, this feeling of lacking professional respect and autonomy. Teachers often say they feel like policymakers, and even the public don't really value their expertise.
Right, like they're just told what to do.
Exactly. Rigid curriculums, tests designed by people far from the classroom. It's often imposed without their input. And then there's this culture of blame, where teachers get criticized for problems that are really systemic rather than being trusted as the professionals on the front lines. That lack of trust, it's really damaging to morale.
And you also hear a lot about student behavior being a major stressor. I think the report said 52% of teachers listed as a top concern.
That's right. And it's made worse by large class sizes, sometimes not having enough training on how to manage challenging behaviors, and honestly, the growing mental health crisis among students themselves.
Yeah, that's a huge factor now.
It adds this whole other layer of complexity to an already incredibly demanding job.
Okay, and another point you mentioned earlier, training. Many new teachers just don't feel ready.
Yeah, that's critical. In the U.S., over 10% of new teachers start with emergency or provisional licenses. That means they might have very little formal training, maybe none.
10%, so they're thrown in the deep end.
Pretty much. And without good mentoring or a strong induction period to support them in those first crucial years, they're much more likely to leave quickly. It's like we have a leaky pipeline, and we're not patching the holes early on.
And digging a bit deeper, these problems don't affect everyone equally, do they?
No, they don't. There's an intersectional aspect here. For example, data suggests Black and Hispanic teachers are planning to leave at higher rates than white teachers. About 28% of Black teachers, 23% of Hispanic teachers, compared to 14% of white teachers, say they plan to leave within 5 years.
Wow, like a stark difference.
It is. And female teachers consistently report higher levels of stress and burnout, too. So existing societal inequalities, they definitely show up and sometimes get amplified within the teaching profession. We need solutions that recognize that complexity.
Okay, so that paints a pretty challenging picture of why teachers are leaving. Let's pivot then. How do we start turning this around? What are some of the solutions the report highlights, starting with getting new people in the door, strategic recruitment?
Right. And there are some really promising models gaining traction. Teacher residencies, for instance. Think of them like medical residencies, but for teaching.
Okay.
They're usually year-long programs. The aspiring teacher, the resident, works alongside an experienced mentor teacher in a real classroom, gets financial support, and learns by doing, basically.
Hands-on from the start.
Exactly. And it works. Hiring rates are super high, like 90%. And retention is impressive, too. About 85% are still teaching 3 years later because they feel genuinely ready. California is actually putting serious money behind this, over $1 billion.
$1 billion. Wow. That shows real commitment. And what about those apprenticeships you mentioned? That sounds newer.
Yeah, registered teacher apprenticeships. It's a newer model, but growing incredibly fast. It lets people earn a wage while they're getting their teaching credentials.
Earn while you learn.
You got it. The numbers are amazing. It went from about 350 apprentices in 2022 to nearly 3,900 projected for 2025. That's almost a 1,000% increase. It just makes entering the profession more financially viable for more people.
That's huge growth.
And then there are grow-your-own programs. Things like educators, rising clubs in high schools. They focus on cultivating local talent, tapping into the fact that, well, most teachers, about 60%, end up working pretty close to where they grew up.
Interesting. Keep it local.
Right. And students who go through these programs, they're apparently 4 times more likely to actually go into teaching. It's about nurturing that interest right there in the community.
Makes a lot of sense. And I assume financial incentives still play a big role here, too.
Oh, absolutely. Things like scholarships, loan forgiveness. Mississippi has a program called Winter Read, for example, signing bonuses, even help with housing. These directly tackle that financial insecurity we talked about being a major barrier.
Got it. So recruit strategically, offer multiple pathways, make it financially possible. What about once they're training? How do we make sure the preparation is actually effective?
That's key. The shift is towards preparation that's really based on practice, not just theory. Embedding trainees in schools, working closely with strong mentors right from the beginning. It's about making sure they have the practical skills, not just the book knowledge.
More doing, less just listening in lectures.
Pretty much. And we can look internationally for inspiration here, too. Finland is a classic example.
Right. Everyone talks about Finland.
Because they treat teaching as this high-status, master's-level profession. It's super competitive to get into teacher training. Only about 10% of applicants make it. And teachers have a lot of autonomy. The result, very low attrition.
Interesting. What about elsewhere?
Singapore's another one. Very merit-based system, lots of investment in training, and then a solid 2-year mentorship program for all new teachers.
2 years of mentorship. That sounds valuable.
It really is. And Vietnam has seen incredible results by investing heavily in teacher training, ongoing professional development, and specific incentives to get teachers into rural areas. Their students' learning outcomes have shot up. It just shows that sustained, smart investment really pays off.
So good recruitment, strong preparation. But then how do we keep them? Retention is the other half of the battle, maybe even the harder half.
Absolutely. And number 1 on the retention list, we have to circle back to competitive compensation.
Pay again.
Pay again. Competitive salaries, good benefits, health insurance, retirement plans, paid leave. It sounds basic, but it's fundamental. And think about the cost of not doing it. Replacing just one teacher in the U.S. costs between roughly $12,000 and $25,000.
Wow. So investing in keeping teachers is actually cost-effective.
It's fiscally responsible. Exactly. The cost of high turnover is enormous.
Okay, beyond pay, what else helps keep teachers in the classroom?
Workload was a huge issue. Right. So tackling workload, that could mean hiring more support staff, paraprofessionals, counselors, administrative help staffs, help to take some non-teaching tasks off teachers' plates. Streamlining paperwork, finding ways to make administrative duties less burdensome, maybe even exploring more flexible work arrangements where possible.
Giving them back some time, some control.
Exactly. And that leads right into the importance of supportive leadership. Principals and school leaders have a massive impact. Creating a positive school culture, trusting teachers, involving them in decisions that affect their work, that builds loyalty. It makes teachers feel valued and want to stay.
Creates a sense of ownership, maybe.
Yes, precisely.
Right.
Shared ownership. It's about building a community, not just a workplace.
And that includes looking after their well-being, right? You mentioned the stress and burnout stats earlier.
Definitely. We need to care for the caregivers. Teacher well-being has to be central. We know the stats, 62% stressed, 53% burned out.
So what does supporting well-being look like in practice?
It's multi-layered. There are individual strategies teachers can use, like mindfulness or setting better boundaries, but the onus shouldn't just be on them. Schools can provide on-site mental health resources, create recognition programs, ensure adequate breaks, and at the policy level, we need dedicated funding for wellness initiatives and accountability systems that are fair and reasonable, not just punitive based on test scores.
A whole system approach to mental and emotional health?
Exactly. It's got to be systemic.
Now, what about technology? Can that play a role in easing some of these burdens or solving some problems?
It certainly can be an enabler. Think about AI and digital tools. They have the potential to automate some of those time-consuming tasks, like grading multiple-choice quizzes, tracking attendance, maybe even helping with parent communication templates.
Freeing up teacher time for actual teaching.
Right. Tech can also expand access. Look at Uruguay's CEDL and Inglés program. They use high-quality video conferencing to connect remote English teachers with rural classrooms that wouldn't otherwise have access to that specialized instruction.
That's a clever use of tech. But I remember you mentioning the flip side earlier, the digital divide.
Yes, that's the crucial caveat. Technology is only an enabler if people have access to it. You mentioned Kenya, huge classes, severe shortages. AI tools for lesson planning sound fantastic in theory.
Right.
But the report noted only about 35% of schools there have reliable internet. Teachers often pay for data out of their own pockets. So yes, tech offers potential, but we absolutely need the infrastructure and equitable access to make it work for everyone. It's not a magic wand.
Right, got it. So infrastructure is key. Anything else on the solutions front?
One more big piece, community engagement. Local communities can play a really active role. They can help strengthen that teacher pipeline, supporting those grow your own programs we talked about. They can support current teachers too, maybe through volunteer efforts, donating resources, or just showing appreciation. And connecting schools with local businesses or services. It helps build that whole ecosystem around the school, making teachers feel supported and valued by the place they live and work.
So it really takes a village, quite literally.
It really does.
Okay, so wrapping this up. It's been quite a journey through this report. It's clear the global teacher shortage is, well, it's incredibly complex, lots of interconnected problems.
Definitely multidimensional.
But what also comes through, and this feels important, is that it is solvable. We've seen the scale, which is daunting, yes, but we've also heard about some really creative, effective solutions being tried all over the world. It shows progress isn't just theoretical, it's actually happening in places.
And that's the hopeful part. This crisis, as big as it is, it's also a massive opportunity, isn't it? A chance to really rethink how we value teaching, to reinvest in the profession, to elevate it, which aligns perfectly with bigger goals like this Sustainable Development Goals, and ultimately building stronger economies and societies for everyone.
Absolutely. It feels like a moment to fundamentally reinvest. So this deep dive, it's really laid bare how tangled up this teacher crisis is with, well, everything in society. So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. Knowing all this, what's one specific thing you could do right in your own community to support teachers, maybe encourage someone to consider the profession, or just help ensure every kid gets the qualified, motivated teacher they deserve? Something to think about.